linebacker coach Frank Bush always said, man, you're here now. You know, this is what you always dreamed of, and now what? You know what I mean? They don't stop here. There's always room of improvement, and whoever you dream of to be, I mean, you're in that place now. You know, I'm the biggest fan of myself, and you know, it's me against me every day, and trying to set an example for the young guys, undrafted guys.
So, Frankie, you said that it's going to take all of you all this season, this whole team. When you look at this team going into the first game of the season, how do you see this group on your side of the ball?
Man, guys just going in there and flying around. That's the type of defense we is, and that's what we're gonna bring in this first game. Me every day. You know, we got a good group of men around us, man, and guys are just bought in. Fly around, make plays, have fun with each other, create a good energy, good environment, and you know, knowing that we coming for the win. So, you know, that's the mindset, and it's gonna be that till game one.
Leadership is everything. What is your message? Because you've been here before.
Correct.
What is your message to guys here that you want to deliver to them, as far as from your experience, as far as what do you want to see?
I think the biggest thing is just being present, just being where your feet are, being at practice if you're at practice, being in the weight room when you're in the weight room, being in the classroom when you're supposed to be in. So, you know, being present in everything that you go through, and then off the field stuff, you know, getting your body right. Like I said, it's going to be a long season. We're going to need everybody healthy. You know, we're carrying a lot with us on the team, and we take in guys as our backup as also, you know, their ones as well. So we can have a numerous amount of bodies just going in and out, and you know, for a long-lasting season, and you know, game for a win.
Fans have been in a drought for a long time. You haven't been here, but it's been a long drought. If you could give them some hope, should they be excited about this team this year?
Oh yeah, they should be. We're gonna bring a lot of energy, and we're gonna bring a lot of noise. We're gonna bring a lot of something that Washington hasn't had. You know, and the guys that we brought in free agency, and as myself, and we want to win, and the city needs to win, and this whole organization needs to win. So, you know, a lot of winning can do a lot of things, a lot of good things. So that's what we're bringing in, and man, I can't wait to get out there.
The energy of this team and the organization has changed, and I feel like it's up to us to kind of display that once we got there on the field.
You know, just preseason's over. You know, time to get to work. Everybody was out here, great energy. You know, it's the first practice, the lead up to week one. Everybody's excited, and I'm back excited to be back out here with the guys. So it's just about, you know, keep growing as a team, keep competing, keep preparing for week one.
Talk to me about making this team. The wait is over right now.
It feels great. You know, God is good. He blessed me with my ability, and I just came out here just try to prove everybody I belong here.
What was the when they told you made the team? Talk to me of your feelings.
You know, it's great. You know, I've always been one, like, this has always been my dream. So when I heard it, it was just good news. You know?
You got smiles on your face. Talk about making this team and your thoughts.
It's just an absolute blessing. I couldn't be more stoked to be here. It's an awesome group of people from the top down. They did a phenomenal job, and I'm just really stoked to be a part of this team.
When you heard those words that you made the team, what's the emotions?
Joy. I mean, I don't know. I was elated. A little bit of disbelief, but like super stoked. You know, something we've all worked really hard for, you know, for a long time. So felt great. I think starting out as a quarterback just helped me understand offensive scheme really well, you know, which I think has been a huge help just playing those other positions, understanding spacing and coverages and timing and those things. But there's obviously some nuance to each of those positions that you got to learn, and that's what I'm out here trying to do right now and be as good as I can. Coach Rye has just been awesome, really helping me develop. I came in and hadn't done a lot of blocking, especially in line stuff, and he's been phenomenal helping us with that, watching Iowa run cut-ups that looked like they were filmed on a potato. It was awesome. But he's also helped a ton in the pass game, like just helping me develop my routes. It's just been a lot to learn, and I feel like I'm taking it in stride and definitely having a blast with it. So grateful for him.
What does it mean being on this team now that everything is final?
It means a lot. It's a blessing. You know, I get to come into work every single day and, you know, do my job at a very high level around a great group of men. around a great, group of staff members who make this much easier for us. I come in here every day with joy, with, a smile on my face, because I wake up each and every single day with the opportunity to continue doing what it is that I love, what I've been blessed to do. So, I'm never going to come in here with a frown on my face. I'm going to give this game everything I can till, my time is up of, playing ball. So, like I said, I'm just coming here every day and just work hard and, give this program everything I can.
Wanted to bring Candy Waller on Bowie TV, Seawall Sports and Entertainment, to just talk a little bit about what you saw. But it's one particular player that I want to talk to you about is Tyler Owens, because from day one, Candy is the one who called him out that this is a player that was going to make this team because he had a solid training camp as far as preseason. She gets the credit.
Well, I actually have to give the credit to David Harrison from Sports Illustrated Locked On Commanders, because I was too busy being nosy at what was going on with the wide receivers. David was like, have you seen Tyler Owens, number 40? And I was like, okay, let's pay attention. And I think, where were we? In Miami, when I said, okay, let me pay attention a lot more to the defense. And I had to, yell over there to David like, hey, yes, Tyler Owens is legit. This guy has got to make the team, because I think he really exemplifies everything Coach Quinn talks about in terms of guys who are relentlessly competing every rep in practice and all of the preseason games, because he played in all three. He was relentlessly competing. He definitely earned his roster spot.
You saw everything going into the season. Are you confident with this team, the roster in place?
I think as confident as I possibly can be, right? I mean, it's not a perfect world. Definitely there's still some spots, right? Like, we saw some good things from certain players in the offensive line, but we haven't seen them play yet together. So that is a bit of a concern. I still have concerns about the secondary. I still have concerns about the cornerback position, and we still quite aren't sure what they're going to do about the returner, right? So is it ideal? Not in my opinion, but I do think this team is a better roster than last season.
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely a better roster than last season, but there's definitely still some questions. And of course, when it comes to the depth, I'm not still certain about the depth, right? If somebody gets injured, then what's going to happen? So it's almost like everyone has to stay 100% healthy, and we know the likelihood of that happening is oftentimes low. So we'll see what happens.
But Dan Quinn did say today in his last presser before the season opener that the thing that he likes about this team is this team. And so, I mean, he said the wide receivers, although we have question marks pertaining to the wide receivers, he said that he likes that group, and he likes the fact that they can do multiple things. It's not one receiver fits one bill. That's what I think that we've got to look at. Is most of the time we look at the wide receivers and we say, hey, Terry is this guy, slot receiver is this guy and all that. But he said that he was kind of like moving everybody around because one size doesn't fit everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And we have seen a lot of that throughout camp, and even through, especially the joint practices where they were moving a lot of guys around. You could tell that they really care and want to make sure at every position group there's versatility there. If they decide to make position moves, it probably depends on who their opponent is for that week, right? And what they're planning for, and trying to really gauge and strategize about what the opponent is going to do and how and where they're going to fit guys. So, I mean, yes, Dan Quinn said it today. We heard defensive coordinator Joe Witt tell us at the beginning of camp, don't ask me who's starting. Don't ask me, okay? Because this is how we're going to roll every week. So we'll see, but you're exactly right. That versatility has been key. We've been seeing it in action, and it'll be interesting to see how they put it all together.
And, David, we had a chance to hear from a lot of people over the course of these 3 weeks, but in the final statement from Coach Quinn, what did you take away from what he said?
I actually thought it was really cool that he talked about telling the players during this kind of mini bye week between the preseason and the regular season that they need to kind of get away from football a little bit. And, for some of these guys, like, football is all they know, and that's kind of been their pursuit. Like, I mean, in today's world, especially, like, some of these players come into the NFL never having an actual, like, quote-unquote real job because they were afforded the opportunity to just focus on ball and focus on, crafting their career. So for some of them, and even Jaden kind of said, like, I don't know if I can get fully away from football. Like, football is kind of always there. But, just having the opportunity to just kind of step back and from a training perspective, it was really interesting because Dan Quinn talked about like kind of stepping away and getting kind of that wide angle view on what you've done, what you've been able to accomplish, and what you've learned so far. I think that's really important because I think in a lot of tasks, like we all kind of have this really narrow kind of lens on what we're doing, and getting that wider view and kind of taking that step away and taking that step back will really help you kind of figure out where you've gone, where you want to continue to go, and kind of put things in perspective. So I thought it was really cool because traditionally, the answer you get from most head coaches and players is like, no, it's football 24/7 and all that stuff, and that's not reality, and you can't do that. That's how you burn out in any profession. So I thought it was cool that Dan was forthcoming with that information.
What do you take away from these guys that did make this team, and your projection from what you've seen out here?
Yeah, every group has a rookie in it, right? And whether they're drafted highly, low, whether they were undrafted, like every group on this roster has a rookie in it. And I think that's really cool and really kind of shows the focus on building this thing from the ground up, right? Adam Peters talked about that very early in his time here, that this roster is going to be built through the draft, supplemented through free agency. And so when you look at like all the one-year deals that they signed with these veterans, like you can kind of say and see like, okay, maybe that's a spot where a rookie comes in later on down the road, or if a guy proves himself enough, they re-sign him and do all those things. But it's really about building this thing right. And when all these roster moves are made, I know sometimes, people out there get a little bit frustrated with what's not happening versus what is happening. It's all about kind of getting the right atmosphere, getting the right attitude. When you look at all these players, right, you look at Jaden, Johnny Newton, Luke McCaffrey, these are all guys who are willing to go out there and get after it, but then also the position versatility. Like how many players on this team started at one position? Even Mike Sanders still started as a wide receiver, turned into a cornerback. Shows that they have this attitude of whatever I need to do to be successful on the team and help the team be successful on the field, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that's exactly the kind of atmosphere they're trying to build in Washington.
Also, Coach Quinn said in his closer presser today is that the wide receiver room, one that we talk a lot about not totally confident with them. They brought in some people in Noah.
I think I bring a little bit of everything when it comes to the offensive mindset. I'm a very viable pass option. I can block in a blocking game. I have experience in the special teams game, and I'm willing to do all of it. So I'm just ready to contribute.
What are you seeing at the wide receiver room going into the season? Are you confident in that group? And also, how do you see this team overall with this roster? Are you confident in the team as a whole, too?
I actually kind of like what Dan Quinn pointed out specifically about the receiver room and the one-size-fits-all comment is, basically they have a roster and a room full of receivers that can line up pretty much anywhere you want them to on the field. And what that affords Cliff Kingsbury the opportunity to do is be as creative as possible. Right? We oftentimes compare football to a chess match, and I think it's a very accurate comparison. Well, a bishop going up against a pawn, as long as you put it in the right situation, is going to have a dominant advantage. And that's really what Cliff Kingsbury needs to do out here. It's not about the name and whether or not it's a household name, right? If you get Noah Brown in the right matchup, in the right situation, that's going to be that bishop versus pawn type of matchup that you're looking for. Same thing goes with Terry McLaurin. Same thing goes with Ben Sinnott, the rookie tight end. So it's really going to be imperative that this coaching staff kind of puts people in position to be successful. And by having so many diverse types of receivers, and even just go to the running back room and you've got diverse players in there, and the tight end group, they've got some diversity there as well. It gives Cliff Kingsbury maximum ability to kind of mold this offense. And then Jaden Daniels, the real kind of trick to this is the faster Jaden Daniels can get on pace with everything they're trying to do, the more they can expand what they are actually doing. I think we saw that a little bit last year, not to take away any blame for like 52 straight passes and all that craziness. But, as the offense struggled to do even some of the most basic things that the offense was being asked to do by the coordinator, it's hard to expand the program when you can't get the basics right. So I think what we've seen this training camp preseason is that this offense is kind of clicking on the basics, right? So now it's time to really kind of launch into expanding the unit as much as possible.
Yeah, and talking to Frankie Luvu, he said that it is going to take all of them for this team to be successful, and he thinks that the fans are going to be in for a treat. What do you take away from what he said today? Because it really is going to take all of them, getting on the same page. He likes what he sees in the defense. But your takeaways from talking to him today?
I think he's spot on, but I also think it's going to be very entertaining. I think there's going to be a lot of energy on this team, offensively, defensively, and even the losses, like you're going to be able to walk away and say, like, man, that team went out there and they went after it, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's a little bit of it's a small consolation prize, I suppose, to be able to look at a team and say, man, they really put in a lot of that effort. But, again, Washington fans got to be real, and we've seen rosters and we've seen teams in this organization that didn't go out there and necessarily give it a full fighting chance every single time they went out on the field. So that's important. And then beyond that, I think the unified front, right? Everybody on this team understanding it's going to take all of us. Jaden Daniels said today, there's no savior on that field, right? There's no one guy that can do everything and the other 10 guys just stand back and watch him be the savior. It's going to take all 11 that are on the field at any given time. And then, going into all the sets and the looks, like even, it's going to be more than 22 players total that are going to be genuinely involved in this. And I think when you look at the roster, even the guys who were left over from the last regime, there doesn't appear to be anybody who's kind of out here for me. Right, yeah. Like I want to get my stats and I want to get my accolades and I want to get my praise. Everybody here is really interested in the Washington Commanders getting their stats and the Washington Commanders getting their praise because they understand that if the Washington Commanders are successful, then Frankie Luvu, Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, they're all going to be successful.
Yeah, one thing that we know for sure, and you see the dark clouds over our head as it's getting ready to storm, is that this team is going to be better than they have been in a long time. You're going to see them in games this year, whether they win or lose. But we're going to probably have a lot more wins than losses. But I like what Dan Quinn said. He said that what does he like about this team? He said he likes this team. Donna Hopkins, as we get prepared for the season open out here at the Commanders headquarters, as we take a break.
So in turning the pages also, when you look at this team overall going into the first season, part of the season in the first game, is this team where you thought it would be, or is this ahead of the game?
That's a good question. I think we're probably further ahead in some areas. We really pushed a lot of the situations. So we could be at our best in the end of the half and the end of the game. So going in, I thought that would be one of the hardest things that we'd have to do because I just wanted to constantly challenge the guys. Could we be at our best at the end of the half and the end of the game? And so they were really down for that. They were ready to be pushed in that space, and we've really responded. So I say we're probably further along in that space. The one that you worry about as a coach, probably, if you ask the other 31, the line of scrimmage, for the big guys, because it's not throwing and catching and things that you can do without it. So usually the line of scrimmage play just kind of keeps improving, the run game, the run defense. And so those are some of the things that I worry about every year, but I think we're further along than I probably anticipated in some spots.